Stephanie McMahon has been a staple of WWE television since making her first on-screen appearance. Stephanie has WWE running through her veins and started her career as a model for the merchandise department during her childhood. She made her on-screen debut in 1999 for a storyline with The Undertaker, the storyline being the brainchild of friend of the show, Vince Russo, who was head writer of WWE at the time. Through the years, Stephanie has been in numerous matches and has even won the Women's Championship. Even though she isn't on television as much today because of her position as WWE CEO, back in the day, McMahon was a major part of the show and has even been involved in a number of romantic storylines. Here are our top 5 romantic storylines that involved Stephanie McMahon. Number 5, The Undertaker's Bride. We start off with the first major storyline of Stephanie McMahon's WWE career, her storyline with The Undertaker. This one definitely doesn't count as what you would call a romantic storyline because a young Stephanie McMahon was basically kidnapped by The Undertaker and the Ministry of Darkness. After the abduction, McMahon was almost forced to marry The Undertaker during an in-ring ceremony. Vince McMahon was helpless and looked hopeless when we saw his nemesis Stone Cold Steve Austin come out, but Austin would put their rivalry to the side and did what was right, saving Stephanie McMahon from the clutches of the Ministry. Number 4, the two GMs kiss. It's the beginning of the ruthless aggression era, and Vince McMahon had just made the call to bring in his former tormentor, Eric Bischoff, in as the on-screen GM of Raw. Around the same time, Stephanie McMahon was made the general manager of SmackDown. The rivalry between the two had hit its peak by the time Halloween rolled around, as the two were battling to sign Scott Steiner to their respective brands. During the SmackDown Halloween party, Stephanie entered her office at one point and saw a man in a mask waiting for her. The man turned out to be Eric Bischoff. Bischoff then informed Stephanie that he was going to sign Big Papa Pump. Stephanie went to slap him, but Eric Bischoff grabbed her hand just before it hit his face and then planted a kiss on Vince's daughter. But what was the weirdest part of this storyline, you ask? Bischoff was wearing a Vince McMahon mask before laying one on Stephanie. Number 3, Stephanie McMahon almost marries Test. Stephanie McMahon and Test's wedding has gone down as one of the most dramatic in wrestling history. However, before we jump the gun, let's look at how it all began. A young Stephanie McMahon made her WWE debut back in 1999 and was seen hanging out with members of Vince McMahon's corporation quite often. From this, her relationship with Test began to bloom, something that announcers hinted at during commentary. However, there was one McMahon-shaped obstacle in their way, and that was Shane McMahon. Shane's disapproval of his sister marrying one of the boys led to their love her or leave her match at SummerSlam 1999. Test picked up the massive babyface win despite tons of interference. It was looking like Test was set to get a massive babyface push while also being a member of the McMahon faction in storyline. However, fate and the writers had other plans. Test and Stephanie's wedding on Raw was interrupted by members of DX, where Triple H revealed that he had secretly married Stephanie McMahon in Vegas already, although from the footage it was clear that Steph wasn't all there. Stephanie and Hunter's relationship ended up becoming the hot storyline heading into the end of the year, while Test unfortunately got lost in the shuffle. Rest in peace, big man, we miss ya. Number 2, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H's on-screen relationship over the years. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H started the McMahon-Helmsley faction soon after their storyline wedding. We saw a young Stephanie move over to the dark side as she basked in her newfound confidence and power, even winning the women's title at one point. Over the years, Stephanie and Hunter have been involved in a number of storylines together, including Stephanie tricking Triple H into renewing their vows in 2002 after claiming to be pregnant. This seemed to convince Triple H until he got a call from his mother-in-law, Linda McMahon, where she informed the game he was being hoodwinked. The game ended up surprising Stephanie with divorce papers during their vow renewal ceremony. Whew. Behind the scenes, however, Stephanie and Triple H's relationship has been strong since their wedding in 2003. The couple have 3 daughters and are currently 2 of the most powerful executives in WWE. Number 1, Kurt Angle's feud with Triple H. Kurt Angle's feud with Triple H over the affections of Stephanie McMahon has to go down as one of the most underrated WWE feuds of all time. At one point, right after the turn of the new millennium, Stephanie McMahon was managing both Triple H and Kurt Angle. The game was clearly not happy with the situation and saw Angle as a threat to his relationship with the billion-dollar princess. In spite of all roads seemingly being closed and Angle getting constantly rebuffed by Stephanie, the Olympic gold medalist finally managed to plant a kiss on Stephanie in the lead up to the Unforgiven 2000. To say that Triple H completely lost his cool after seeing what had happened would be an understatement. The Game and Angle faced off in a no disqualification match at the Unforgiven pay-per-view, with Stephanie McMahon eventually helping Hunter win by nailing Angle with a low blow. Stephanie proved her loyalty to Triple H and thus ended her romantic storyline with Kurt Angle. That's gonna do it for our list today, everybody. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling to stay up to date with all the top news in pro wrestling around the world.